So he's going to be sitting on the beach with me. I gotta move the chat box so you can't hear. Otherwise, everyone will hear. Can't see either, unfortunately. Yeah, it frickin' sucks. Oh crap, Mike's live. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Sunday night. This is Geeks of Glory. My name is Rillian, and welcome to the Geek Retreat. How are you all doing tonight? I hope you are doing well. It's a fantastic day down here on the beach, and I wish you could join me. I wish you could. Joining me shortly will be TheMayhemVote93, one of our hosts here on Geeks of Glory, also a good friend of mine, and we will be discussing all kinds of stuff. But first, how are you folks doing? I hope you are all doing very well. I hope you've been having a good weekend, because unfortunately, it's almost over. I know, it sucks. It sucks. The weekend's almost over. But hey, that's why we do this at the end of the weekend. You get one last chance, sit back, sip out of your pineapple, and just enjoy. Enjoy life for a little bit here. You know, sit down on the beach. It looks beautiful. All right, announcements for this round. Hey, let's announce tomorrow. The Mayhem Vote will be hosting his show, Mayhem Mondays, on our Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Geeks of Glory. Feel free to go over there and give him a watch when he's live with us, or check him out on his own channel as well. Train of thought. Then we'll be back Tuesday with Irini doing something crafty on Twitch as well. For the start times for those, please go visit our Discord channel or our Twitch page, as the schedules are listed there. We're trying to get it up in more places so you guys can have easier access to it, but bear with us for now. We've got all kinds of shows. If you didn't know, we're now 7 days a week, so that is awesome. Check us out in all kinds of different places. We're on Mixer, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all Geeks of Glory. Oh, also geeksofglory.com. Check it out. It's sweet. We're putting a lot of effort into that. There's still work to be done. We're not web designers, so unfortunately there's still some things that are left to be desired, but it is coming along. So make sure you go check it out. Let us know what you think. Okay, in the meantime, I can't think of any other burning announcements off the top of my head. Yes, Spotify for recordings as well. You unfortunately can't you can't search Geeks of Glory on there, because that's not technically the name for anything. But you can find the Geek Retreat and Glory Roll, our D&D show, listed up on Spotify. So far, the first episode of Glory Roll is there, and Geek Retreat, the 2 episodes that are up so far. We are missing episodes from this last week because we didn't have it due to a power outage here at Geeks HQ that lasted for like 5 days. It was insane. In the meantime, everything seems to be flowing well here, so let's go ahead and get into some of the news. All kinds of stuff happening this week. Let's see. Well, that's this one. Oh, so Valve went through and banned more than 40,000 Dota 2 accounts for abusing matchmaking. Now, nobody's quite sure what they mean by this, because they don't go forward and explain. Their tweet says, and I quote, "We have banned over 40,000 accounts for players who were found abusing matchmaking. These bans will now appear as game bans in Steam, as well as being matchmaking bans in Dota 2. Now, again, they do not go on to further explain this, but they have been known in the past to ban what are known as Smurfs. If you're not familiar with that term, that's okay. I had to look it up too. Basically, it's what most similar term that I knew to it was Twink, which is higher level players with a lot of experience go back and make a new character and use all that account to or use all their knowledge and or resources from that other account to buff up a junior account. I don't think you can actually do the buffing in Dota 2, but you can bring back your experience. You show sounded like you said something else. I bet you have had several Freudian slips saying that name. Nope, not a one yet. Not a one yet. We'll see, though. But yes, it may intentionally sound like something else. Who knows? I didn't say it. So, again, they are not confirming that is why these accounts were banned. But since they have a history of banning Smurfs, and they have gone on to say we are making our Smurf detection system more sensitive in this upcoming update, it's a pretty good guess that that's what brought that on. I guess we'll see. For those of you that are Animal Crossing fans, you can get an Animal Crossing music extension for your Chrome browser. This will play different songs based on what time of day it is, much as you would hear in the actual game. It will also change the song based on the local weather if you set it up to do so. And then every Saturday night, unless you change the settings to make it at any time, every Saturday night, your favorite dog DJ will come on and play you a little bit of music. KK Slider makes an appearance from 8 p.m. to midnight local time, your local time, to play his live music. So, if you want something like that, you can check it out. It's the Animal Crossing Music Chrome extension, and I may be guilty of having downloaded that earlier just to check it out. It's there. And for our Red Dead Redemption Online players, here's a fun one. Alt or Smurf accounts are frowned upon when you're using them to get a better placement in matchmaking. That was the issue. They're using it to get better placement in matchmaking. They're abusing the metrics, the algorithm to do it. So that's what's frowned upon there, Third Rock. By the way, how you doing tonight? Couldn't get a coconut, but I got a pineapple. A disco pineapple. So, okay. My next news page is unresponsive. Of course. Well, I'll see how much... Oh, there we go. So, the next one we've got is out of the Red Dead Online group. Whoa, where is that noise coming from? That is not supposed to be doing that. There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. We all know that hackers are a prevalent thing online, and games are no exception. So, hackers have recently been found to be using a two-headed skeleton. Two-word spring cleaning, fair enough. Sorry you're so tired. But players have found a way to bring the skeleton that you can play in the single-player mode to the online mode. This is not supposed to be possible. But not only did they use the single skeleton, they used the two-headed skeleton, which only ever makes an appearance as an inanimate object during one of the missions. But somehow this two-headed skeleton is now playable for these people that are forcing the mod to the online version. And not only that, but it seems to be invulnerable. It comes up and almost immediately one-shots a hat off of somebody in a clip that I saw. And then as that poor soul, English is hard, guys. As that poor soul finally punches off this skeleton, gets it to start running off, it doesn't drop. And then he pulls out his pistol and unloads every shot he's got into the thing. When that doesn't work, he grabs his rifle and continues to unload in the thing, and the thing only ever flinches maybe once or twice. This is clearly not something that's supposed to be there. Yeah. I was trying to see if there was any words that that the company has acknowledged the glitch, but so far I haven't been able to find anything on that. So that makes it unfortunate. Okay, here's another one for you guys, and I'm going to drop this in the chat. How many Witcher 3 fans do we have out there? Raise your hands if you're a Witcher 3 fan. Or if you're just a Geralt fan. I mean, it doesn't take much. If you are, I'm linking an Amazon link in chat right now. Go check it out. You can get your own little... toss a coin. Please don't do it into his bathtub, though. But if you get this little resin figure, you can have Geralt in his tiny little tub. Just for your mantle. Now, unfortunately, it's not the Henry Cavill version. I hope I'm saying his name right. But it is the Witcher 3 version. Including a rubber duck. Anyway, go check out that affiliate link if you want to get one of your own. You know, who doesn't want one of those up on their mantle? I swear. I swear. Okay, so we know for have known for a while that online currencies were going to start causing a problem with economic stuff. But now the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS, is getting involved with this. Now, nothing says at this point that you have to claim any of your online currency on your tax form this year. However, something that was put up on their website at one point directly referenced the V-Bucks from Fortnite as currency that would need to be reported. The company is claiming that V-Bucks shouldn't need to be taxed and are in fact tax exempt because you cannot ever redeem them for anything outside of the game. You cannot redeem them for cash. Oh, yes, you also can't trade them with other players. However, one company that's having a little bit harder time making that exception is Roblox. Roblox. The game Roblox has a currency called Robux that can be cashed out under specific circumstances and can be traded to other players. So, for those of you that play Roblox, check your IRS forms closely. You might be getting taxed on your in-game currency. So far, the official word coming out of the IRS is that more guidance and more rules. More guidance, more rules, more requirements, more oversights, and monitoring by the IRS are needed to make sure that this is all understood, is essentially the gist of it. So I don't think it's going to be a problem on your taxes this year, but make sure you read the fine print closely. GeForce launched their new online game streaming service recently. NVIDIA, GeForce. I swear, guys, it's been a heck of a long week, heck of a long weekend. But already we're starting to see some issues with it. As Activision Blizzard. So it's just a kids game, or is this happening to all games? It's all games potentially. It's all games potentially. So yeah, with the release of this content, Activision and Blizzard reached out to NVIDIA and said, stop, take our games down from your site. We do not want them to be part of your streaming service. So all these games had to be removed from NVIDIA's online streaming service. Let's see if there were more details here that we wanted to go into. According to an NVIDIA spokesperson on the GeForce Now forums, their streaming site, as we take GeForce Now to the next step in its evolution, we've worked with publishers to onboard a robust catalog of your PC games. The spokesperson said, this means continually adding new games and on occasion having to remove games, similar to other digital providers. So apparently this was an oops, that these games were never supposed to be included anyway, but somehow they made their way onto the platform. Activision Blizzard appears to be unhappy with this, but either way, the trend of games suddenly vanishing across stores and service in the last years is one of the perpetual downsides of digital distribution. And I can completely agree with this author here about that kind of stuff, because I have always wanted to have a hard disk copy. That's why I would buy collector's editions and things like that, specifically for this reason. It drives me absolutely batty that we can't get hard copies anymore. And now that your games aren't even going to be on your computer, that they're going to be on somebody else's mainframe, just drives me absolutely insane. Okay, we'll get to that one. This one. Okay, here's one for the books for you. It has been widely known for a long time that PCs are much more prone to viruses and malware than Macs are. Well, that's not the case anymore. In fact, as of a study at the end of 2019, Macs are now more vulnerable. Macs are now more vulnerable to, specifically in this case, it's different types of malware. Some of the less critical stuff, but still. The full report detailed an over 400% rise in overall Mac-related threats. Hey, JKF, how you doing? Specifically, the rise was in adware and possibly unwanted program, or potentially unwanted programs. That's what it is. PUPs. P-U-P. Now, these are not things that directly attack you, necessarily, but they're still things that you don't want on your computer. Now, the two of the largest threats that hit Mac this last year, let's see, it was the PC VARC, a generic name for system optimizers or junk cleaners that claim to make your system faster, last year accounted for the largest infestation of Macs, the top of which was adware new tab, which accounted for 30 million attacks. I think the next one was like 29 million or something like that. Either way, freaking lot of attacks on Macs. The PC one, the top PC one, was adware.yuntu with just over 3 million attacks. You do the math. Who's more vulnerable? And who has more games that they can play? Is this due to the increase in the amount of content creators using Mac for their mobile content? Possibly. I'd say either way, this is something that I'd been saying for a long time, was that people were not targeting Macs just because the number of users on it wasn't worth the effort or time. Most people, the majority of people, were still using PCs. But as we see more people moving to Macs and the ratio becoming a little bit more even, hackers aren't ignoring Macs anymore. They're specifically targeting them because now the audience size is worth it to them. It's worth the risk. Whereas before, you'd only get a few people. One of the reasons Linux is still so safe and secure is that not enough people use it for it to be a juicy target. Not saying it also isn't safe and secure as well, or more safe and secure, but it's just not worth their time and effort. So between the two things, Linux is probably your safest platform right now. Period. But between it's a user training issue, that could be too. That could be too. PC users have gotten used to avoiding some of this stuff, where Mac users haven't. It's just not a thing for them. I don't know. Either way, the rise there does bring up some questions. All right, so I think one of the last things I've got here before we switch over to our guest here. Unless technical exploits are being used to get the malware on the system, users need to stop clicking or running everything put in front of them. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay, let me just go through here, make sure I got all my stories done except this last one. It's actually kind of a two-parter. Do we have any fans of Half-Life in the room? Any Half-Life fans? Because, boy, do we got some news for you. This is kind of exciting. So, Half-Life fans have been awaiting a new game for quite a while. And now we finally have a date for the next one. I believe this is supposed to be a prequel to 2. It's, I think, set... I forget when it's set, but if I recall, it's set parallel to one of the other stories. Either way, Valve has finally announced the launch date for Half-Life Alyx. It will be coming available on March 23rd of this year. This is exciting news. However, Windows 10 is being switched over to a Linux kernel sometime soon. We won't even notice. Possibly. However, along with a series of screenshots from the game, which, by the way, look incredible. I'm looking at 3 of them here, and they do have some really great details. One of them, maybe even 2 of them, a day after Doom Eternal. Well, you get 1 day to play Doom Eternal, then you switch over to Half-Life. Couple of these images I could see coming out of like Fallout 4 or something similar. Something with that level of detail. However, an eagle-eyed user wanted us to see something. Now, this game is set on a game engine known as Source Engine. And for those of you that have used it or watched content creators that use that kind of stuff, if they weren't diligent about downloading all the resources you needed, you may be very familiar with something that looks like this. Come on, click the button. There we go. Source Engine is very great at letting you know when one of your pieces of content won't load in. You will get all kinds of errors. Now, I want to note this is not a shot out of the new game. This is another one just to emphasize what the error code looks like. I have seen content creators that went through a whole map that was covered in nothing but these huge red errors. They made the walls, they made the individual items. Even they were running around as errors because they did not have the sprite for the character they were playing downloaded. So, just note, this is what the error looks like. Because somebody said, there's one here. This is one of the screenshots out of the new Half-Life, Half-Life Alyx. Looks pretty cool, right? Yeah, but an eagle-eyed user went, wait a minute. Hold up a second. I mean, there's this thing here. Wait a minute. Clipped in the upper left-hand corner, you can see, now top and center, based on where I cropped this image, you can see the bottom of the words error. And just for reference, this one is stretched a little bit taller, but you can very clearly see it's the same kind of font. It's the same color, albeit a little bit dingy just due to some of the other effects in the atmosphere in the game. There very clearly is an issue here. Oh boy. Now, Valve did come back and acknowledge the problem, with Brad Kinley confirming that, in fact, this was an error, that the sprite for that image was not loading. However, he noted that, saying, I guess it at least shows we're not giving you bullshit photos. Or he called them bullshots. And luckily, they still have about a month to get all these bugs under control, but I'm just saying, pretty funny. I'm just glad they're noticing them now, and we're not going to get stuck with them later here. Hopefully. But, hey, you know. Quilton Zen, thank you for the sparks. How are you doing tonight? All right, this is almost perfect here. We're about a half an hour into stream. I'd say it's about time to probably bring on our guest, if he is ready. Give me a thumbs up if you are. I can seize you. I'm waiting. There's a bit of lag between him and me. I got the thumbs up. Okay, we're good to go here. So, guys, I want you to welcome in our guest. He's a Twitch streamer from the Highlands of Scotland. He's a heavy metal junkie and an FPS addict. Also host of the host of Mayhem Mondays here at Geeks of Glory on our Twitch channel. Please welcome in TheMayhemVote93. Where's my button? Frick. There it is. Hello. Oh, I did a boo-boo. Hang on. Now you guys are all going to see the magic here. There we go. He's back. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
There we go. He's actually joining me on the beach today. He'll get to see it in just a second. He hasn't actually seen the miracles I worked behind the scenes as we launched.
You did a really good job of that. I did not expect it to turn out quite as well as it did.
Hey, I'm just glad I could get you down here on the beach with me.
Well, greetings, Mixer. God, there's 2 words I never thought I'd say.
You are on YouTube as well.
And YouTube, not the first time, but it certainly won't be the last.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining me. I really should be looking this way. I need to change this whole layout, because the monitor that I can actually see you on is over here, but you're sitting over here on the layout. So I've got to stare off at nothingness right now to be looking at you.
I'm nothingness?
No, I was looking over here when I said that. Then you stand up, and Arena's getting mad at me.
As always.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so welcome again, and thank you for joining me. First off, let's start with, why don't you tell us just a little bit about the Mayhem Vote 93?
Well, guys, you already know who I am, or at least you like to think that you do. Obviously, my name's TheMayhemVote93, and I hail from the hilly highlands of Scotland. I am a Twitch affiliate, and I've been streaming for just under 2 years. I actually thought it was just over 2 years, but I corrected myself when I looked at my Twitch timeline and my recent notifications and stuff like that the other day. As Rillian has very, very, very repeatedly said, I am one of the many hosts here on the Geeks of Glory network. I stream Mayhem Mondays, which is all about bringing viewers into the content itself by hosting open lobbies across a variety of games. Games including Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Borderlands 3, Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, and possibly a couple of others in the near future, depending on funds and obviously PC specs forgiving and permitting the games. I'm a huge heavy metal fan. I go to as many gigs as I can financially afford every single year. I basically spend every waking moment of my free time listening to music, just as sort of a relaxation thing, just more of a pleasure. I have music running in the background pretty much all the time. In fact, it's kind of weird for me not to have music going at the moment.
Well, I appreciate it.
On top of that,
YouTube
I am a history graduate, and I graduated my honors degree solely specializing in history, spanning topics from the very early 12th century Scottish kings all the way up to touching upon, not delving too deep into it, but touching upon the first colonization of what is now known as your homeland, the United States of America.
Awesome. So is there, I guess, other than Twitch stuff, is there anything else you're up to right now, or anything else about your Twitch channel you want to plug?
Small plug, if you are following my channel, then there will be an announcement on Tuesday night. Not going to go into what it is, but there will be something coming, as well as an unboxing. Again, the two are linked, so I won't say anything else. Other than that, then there's not really much else. I tend to keep a lot of my private life behind closed doors. However, big stuff I like to share with my community just to sort of celebrate. For instance, myself and Mrs. Mayhem Vote have recently just purchased our first house, and we are in the process of finalizing all of the paperwork. And
Yay.
moving day could not come fast enough.
Do you have any estimate on when that is?
The potential move-in date as given to us by our lawyers is the 13th of March.
Oh, so that is fairly soon.
Yes, it was a lot sooner than we anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, that can take a long time. And Arini, or ZomNomNobbies, has just put in the Mixer chat a link to our website where you can actually find Mayhem Vote's links to all of his different social medias and such. Arini, can you drop that into YouTube possibly too? Oh, you already did. Okay, it just hasn't populated up on my chatbot then. Either way, so those are all of his links that we could scavenge up. We tried to track him down everywhere possible, including a small repository of his karate pictures, but you know.
Yeah, you went full FBI mode on that one.
No, I didn't on this. I didn't. I'm just joking. There is a Dropbox. No. All right.
I've got nothing to hide. You know, I mean, come April, I may be showing off a lot more photos that you possibly haven't seen.
Fair enough. You probably have a ton of photos I haven't seen. Yes, they are in the description as well below. I did notice that I messed up the YouTube description, so I will be trying to correct that. But for our Spotify users as well, and anyone else that is coming to this after, you can find his links up on our website, geeksofglory.com, under the About Us section. Find his shiny, smiling face, and can click on that. Yeah, it's the one out of when you were playing Alien that you got jump scared. You never sent me another photo.
Vividly.
So you never sent me another photo, so that's the one that ended up there. It's actually the one from today's cover image, too.
I just assumed that you would have a lot of photos either banked or you knew where to find.
Well, I did. I went onto one of the VODs and just screenshotted one. Actually, I went onto the clips and screenshotted one of those. That's where I cracked it. Hey, it worked. And it got you bright, smiling, honest smile. You know, it was perfect. Anyway, well, okay, so let's talk a little bit more about you, but dig a little bit deeper here. I know. Get ready. Brace yourself. This is going to be difficult. Where did the Mayhem Vote 93 come from? The name.
Oh God. Okay. So about 4.5 years ago, maybe just a little over 5, I purchased seasons 1 through 3 of Sons of Anarchy,
Okay.
and I attempted to watch as much of it as possible, really delve into it whilst I was doing work for university. And the first time around, I really couldn't get into the show. My brain started telling me that I was watching it too far in, but I was actually watching the pilot episode. There were details that I thought I was missing out on, so I just pushed it aside. Went back to it again 6 months later, and fell in love with it all over again. And I watched the entire thing from episode 1 all the way up to the season 7 finale.
Okay.
For those of you unfamiliar with the show, SOA is I think it's Fox. I think it was originally aired on.
I'm not sure.
It's a drama ventured around the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club in what I think, now I am not 100% sure because I've never been able to find it on Google Maps, is the fictional village or town of San Joaquin, California, Northern California. I know that certain locations in the show are real, such as Stockton and the other one escapes me. It doesn't matter. But the term Mayhem Vote is a philosophy held within the club, and the Mayhem Vote revolves around the idea of justice for a club member killing another club member. So if a club member is found or revealed to have committed this act, the remaining members of the club will hold a vote determining the fate of said person.
Okay.
So I decided that I was going to move away from my very, very, very old Xbox 360 gamer tag, and I was going to be edgy for the first time in my life, and what I can honestly say was the last time I've ever tried to be edgy. I wanted to try and not only use a reference for a show that I absolutely adored, but I wanted to perpetuate this justice figure in games such as Destiny 2. What I was playing was a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 at the time. So I started putting, I was going after team killers. Before my streaming days, I used to hunt down team killers and basically give them a taste of their own medicine. And that sense of justice, if you can even call it that, is what embodied originally the Mayhem Vote. The 93 comes from the year that the founding member of the club died. So John Teller, the original founder of the Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, died on, I believe it was July 26th, 1993.
Okay. Sorry, making a quick note here. So what inspires you to stream then? Because you already mentioned that this was before you started streaming, but that you started doing the hunting.
Streaming for me wasn't so much I can't really say there was any one inspiration behind it, other than I tried to break a sense of social anxiety that had been developing within me for, it might have been just over a year that this was sort of happening. I started realizing I'd become very, very sheltered, and I'd actually become kind of socially awkward. So if I was ever meeting a new person for the very first time, I could never look them in the eye. I could barely string a sentence to them, and I used to come off as quite rude because of it. And it wouldn't be until I saw this person for potentially the second or third time that I actually got the courage to explain to them, look, I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just I'm kind of socially awkward. So the idea of talking to people that I can't see and people that I don't know was me trying to venture out of my comfort zone and get to know people that, you know, I at the time I couldn't see. And that I didn't know, trying to make new connections, trying to make new friends. And to say that it's been anything but successful would be an understatement.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I know you are very active in quite a few communities, so obviously it's got at least some success there. Okay, we mentioned earlier that you are streaming for us, Geeks of Glory, over on our Twitch channel. Why did you decide to do that? Why do you do that?
You want the honest answer, or do you want the answer that's going to make Geeks of Glory look good?
Yeah, that's the question. You can give both if you want, and just not tell us which is which, you know?
Okay, so in the 2 years, I'm just going to call it 2 years that I've been streaming, I've been lucky enough to achieve certain milestones. I hit affiliate within 3 months, which was absolutely phenomenal. I've known people who have hit affiliate within the bare minimum. Also, one of them is actually in the chat at the moment. Congratulations once again to her. I have been successful enough to join a stream team. I've been successful enough to stream with some very large streamers, and I've also been able to achieve a follower count that I never thought was possible. And one of the other achievements that I really wanted to see if I could reach, I didn't actively strive towards it, but one of the ones I really wanted to see if it was possible was to work in some sort of official capacity with other streamers. So make connections that were deep enough where either we all sat down together and we came up with something, or, you know, I was lucky enough to be invited into a group of content creators that, you know, embodied that we all operate under an umbrella term. So what Geeks of Glory is, you know,
Okay.
it's the umbrella term, but you've got myself, yourself, you've got Arini, you've got Epitaph, you've got Pimal, you've got Slade Zano, you've got all of us working under the umbrella of Geeks of Glory. And that achievement, when I got approached by yourself and Arini, it was like a light bulb moment that sparked in my head saying, congratulations, you wanted to see if you could do it. You've done it. So embrace it, do it, continue to do it for as long as they're willing to have you, as long as you don't mess it up.
Yeah.
So, you know, touch wood. I don't know how much that's coming through on my microphone. I'm hoping not a lot. But yeah, as long as you guys are willing to have me, I'm more than happy, and I still feel totally overwhelmed that I've managed to hit that milestone.
Awesome. Glad we could do it for you. I didn't actually know that side of things, so that's fun to hear. And I am seeing chat pop up. So I saw editors your message there, and Third Rock I saw yours, and all the sparks you guys have been donating. Thank you so much for that. I'm not going to go through and talk to those right now because I do want to continue on with the interview. We will have a time for questions afterwards, but feel free to keep these messages popping up. I'd love to see them, and we will try to address them here at the end, but we're going to keep going with this. So you kind of touched on what kinds of things you do on your show for us, but I also wanted to cover, why did you pick those games?
So the games I stream for Mayhem Mondays are there because they are commonly known. They're games that are not directly in the spotlight in the gaming community, but Apex Legends has just celebrated its first birthday. Season 4 is doing pretty well for itself. I mean, it's not reaching levels of success as the game originally did when it came out, but it's doing very well. It's got a very good follower base, a very good player base. depending on what platform you want to go down the route of, it's easily accessible. Yes, the PC specification requirements are a little expensive to reach, per se. But, you know, the only thing stopping it from being universally accessible is the ability to log in on your Xbox account and play with someone who's on PC and someone who is on a PlayStation 4 account.
Generally,
I reckon if, you know, Apex were to input that sort of feature, it would be one of the most universally accessible games on the market. Call of Duty is there because I bought it on a whim. I'd heard that the campaign was very good, and I played the multiplayer. I think I realized after about 20 hours in the multiplayer that it was a game that kind of brought me back to my early years in gaming, and I liked the way it played, and I wanted to share that with others. I've been lucky enough to do so with a few people in the community. Rainbow Six Siege, I started my channel on that. It was the second tier game, if you can say that I streamed. I used to alternate between that and Destiny 2. I did originally plan on having Destiny 2 in the rotation for Mayhem Mondays, but I found that trying to find players who were active enough and embedded within not only my community but the Geeks of Glory community was going to be very difficult. I'd end up just playing on my own.
okay.
Most of the time. So I kind of stuck to games that I knew other people played, and I thought had a reasonable chance of bringing in either new members to the community or creating not so much of a community night, because I know that that's what you guys strive to create on other parts of the weekly schedule. But I thought that maybe it could get, you know, if there was like me, maybe one other member of the community, and then we round out the open lobby with a couple of random people, that would be great. Not only are they getting to interact with the streamer, but also maybe one other member of the community.
Okay. Well, cool. I know I've seen a lot of interaction over there, so I think you're getting into exactly where you want to be with that. Okay, so we're going to move on to more our big topic for today. We're going to start talking about first-person shooters. It obviously, from that list of games that you're listing off, is near and dear to your heart. You do play quite a few first and third-person shooters, at least from what I see. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but okay, we're going to start with a little pop quiz for you. I know I promised there was no research that you needed to do beforehand, but I just want to see your depth of knowledge here. Do you know what the first-person shooter game was?
Gonna go out on a limb and say that it was either the original, and I'm talking the absolute original Wolfenstein, or it was, I want to say, Doom, original, like, again, OG Doom.
Well, those were published in 1992 and 1993, respectively, and they are considered really the first ones that coalesced it into its more violent form of the first-person shooters, but actually the first one was in 1973 with Maze War.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
That's supposedly the first one. I was going to look up some gameplay of that if I could find it, or screenshots or something, but I ran out of time preparing for stuff. The next one was the next year, and it was called Spasm. And then Midi Maze came out in 1987, and it was the more playful form, I guess, of first-person shooters. That's what I found it listed as. And I'm like, how do you have a playful form of first-person shooters? But that's older than I am. Okay, so we'll get into some of the other ones here, but you did mention Wolfenstein 3D, which came out in 1992, and it is credited with really coalescing the more violent form of the first-person shooters. It kind of brought together the genre, and Doom really set its place in history in 1993. Made first-person shooters a genre that was going to stick around, as far as what I could find. And then in 1998, and then with its follow-on in 2004, Half-Life is actually credited with really installing a narrative into first-person shooters. Not just walk down this hallway and shoot at things. It was now we could actually incorporate a story into it. Other ones of note were GoldenEye 007 in 1997 was credited with really being a landmark for consoles and local multiplayer. And then in 1999, Counter-Strike got the crown of online multiplayer and really giving credence to online multiplayer first-person shooter type games. All of it coming together in one final game, and I'll give you another guess on this one. What game really brought all of these elements together? Story, online multiplayer, offline multiplayer, and just the first-person shooter type environment. If you want the year, I can give you the year.
Are you able to give me a clue as to the year?
2001.
Hey, oh God, I don't know.
What really surprised me is what game it was, not because of the game, but because it took this long, honestly, in my opinion. Halo. Halo is really the first one that is seen as having all of those elements together in one first-person shooter.
Okay, I'm gonna get a lot of grief in the chat for not knowing Halo. Okay. It's not that I didn't know Halo.
In all fairness, Halo would not have been my guess because it was such a late break, or it feels to me like it's so late in game history that I'm going, how was it Halo?
Yeah, it's almost as if the game is older than just 19 years old.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling like it's more recent than that, but okay.
Can't believe I didn't get that.
These things do happen, man. These things do happen. So I wanted to ask you, first off, I know you do a lot on consoles, and up until very recently, you only did consoles because you didn't have a PC that could handle it. But now that you've ventured into both worlds, I gotta ask, PC or console? For your first-person shooters.
I'm gonna have to stick with console because there's something about it's gonna be very difficult to explain, but you think about the controller scheme. So I play on Xbox exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
You think your all your controls are bundled into a space this big, okay? So you've got a very predictable hand space. You know where your thumbs are gonna sit without even having to look at it. You know roughly where the buttons are gonna go. You don't have to think about it. But with PC, with mouse and keyboard, not all keyboards are the same size, not all keycaps are the same size, not all keycaps are the same, require the same force in order to have an they don't all have the same actuation force, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Also, not all mice are the same weight. Not all mice are the same shape and the same grip. There's tons of different grips you can play with. Also, the space that you've got on your desk dictates where your keyboard and your mouse sit and how far away they are from each other. You've got stuff like DPI, sensitivity, both in-game and your DPI as well, which is when I first got my PC, I didn't realize just how big of a difference there were between the two. Because one of the first games I got was BioShock Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
I cranked the in-game sensitivity down, and I kept my mouse DPI at what its factory preset was, and I felt like I was going through tarmac. I thought I was going through concrete. I had to put the in-game sensitivity from, I think it was 3 to 9 in order to feel like the game was on normal. So I suppose I'm kind of biased because console is what I've been used to for the last 20 years.
Fair enough.
So it's a bit of a. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love playing on mouse and keyboard. I was playing on mouse and keyboard today. I was playing Killing Floor 2 with a group of friends, and I was absolutely loving it. Half an hour into the gaming session, I didn't even realize that I was having to think about all the different key bindings.
Yeah.
Because it just felt natural at that point. But I don't know. There's still, because again, with mouse and keyboard, your hands are tied to the desk, and with a controller, you can just sit with it on your lap, which can be a little bit more comfortable. But again, it's personal preference at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, also you can link up a controller to the PC, which is a nice little variant as well.
Yeah, I've never gotten around to doing that though.
It's actually really easy. I'm just trying to see if my stick was sticking out the top here, but I think I moved it to the back of the computer eventually. But it's just a little USB dongle to plug in, and an Xbox controller works just that quick. It doesn't take any extra setup. Yeah, I had a point there, and this is why I'm supposed to write things down. But either way, that's what it was. I think my view on it is a little bit more balanced, just because I was a lot of mixed play in my early gaming years. I was playing on both PC and on a console, so I kind of grew up with both. So, yeah, I tend toward PC personally, but I definitely have fun on consoles. But I know Irini really likes her controller. So that, like you said, getting used to the difference between mouse and keyboard or controller can be a jump.
Oh yeah, for certain games it was a huge learning curve. I tried until Ubisoft kind of blocked my account for reasons that I still haven't heard back from their support team about. But I tried Rainbow Six Siege on mouse and keyboard, and oh my god, I thought playing it on controller was hard enough. With controller you've got built-in aim assist, which you can turn off, but there's still that little bit of it even when you turn it off. Mouse and keyboard, you got nothing.
No,
you got nothing.
But when you get used to it, it's a lot easier to stop exactly where you want to turn to as well. Whereas controller, it's just you're telling the motor to turn you to turn to the right, turn to the left.
Oh yeah.
You can't just go, I want to be here. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, and having played Rainbow Six Siege on mouse and keyboard for the first time really gave me a deeper, I'm not going to say it gave me a sense of appreciation, it actually gave me a deeper sense of appreciation for what the pros go through and how skilled they are. Because I used to sit and watch the Six Invitational. I used to watch the finals when I was on my break at work. And just watching these guys pulling off these amazing flick shots, and I'm just like, damn. If it's anything if it's half as easy as they make it look, then I've got a lot of learning to do. Because there's no doubt about it. These guys spend hundreds of hours a week, perfecting their craft. And then when I jumped onto Rainbow Six Siege for the first time on PC, I realized, I'm a snail in a race full of cheetahs, basically.
Well, yeah, and that's like comparing, saying that, these professional golfers on the Masters make golf look easy. It just, yeah, they do, because they're really great at it. So that's a hard comparison. Okay, so let's go with what is your favorite genre of games? And it doesn't have to be first-person shooters, but it could be.
I tend to go towards story-driven content. Now, a lot of the story-driven games that I play just happen to have first-person or third-person shooter elements into them. Mm-hmm. So the biggest one that I fell in love with was Destiny and Destiny 2. So obviously, a lot of you are already going to know what Destiny and Destiny 2 is. It was the story that captivated me. It was the universe that Bungie had created that really sunk its teeth into that little part of my brain that was craving something specific. And at the time, I will admit, during year 2 and 3 of Destiny 1, Bungie had not really implemented the greatest lore system in the game. It was all hidden behind external websites. You had to basically look it all up rather than it actually being solidified in the game. But come release day of Destiny 2, they put the lore back in the game in terms of lore books and record triumphs and all that sort of thing, which was great. It's all contextualized, it's all linked, and the community has actually had its fair hand in writing some of that lore. Because what a lot of people might not know is that Bungie holds a summit with its top community influencers every single year. So folks like Houndish, My Name is Bife, Dato, who is a hugely skilled player, and the other two are more of your Houndish is more of your weekly reset guy, so he tells you what the new stuff is and what's in rotation. My Name is Bife is the lore daddy of the entire game. Like, he's your go-to guy. You want to know anything about the game, you go and you watch his videos. There are certain elements of the game's lore and the universe's lore that they have had a hand in writing, because they've gone to Bungie and gone, right, this event and this person, you've kind of got it wrong. It's actually connected this way. So it's a great sense of how the community's had a hand in creating the game that we play today. And like I said, that story captivates me. It still captivates me, and it always will.
I just had this mental image of some fans going up to some writer. Let's pick a famous writer from history. Let's do J.R.R. Tolkien. Some fan of his comes up and says, "I like what you did with Two Towers, but you got it all wrong. Here's how it actually went down." Merry and Pippin didn't need rescuing. They were riding the Uruk-hai. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the hobbits are taking them to Isengard.
Oh yeah. The hobbits are actually directing the Uruk-hai to Isengard. The Uruk-hai can't, look at they can't read a map to save their skins.
But no, that's why then you get to that scene where where Merry and Pippin are sitting up on the wall after Isengard's been destroyed, right? That was the fan write-in afterwards.
I can totally see that as being fan service. It really is. I could totally see that. But there's elements of the Destiny 2 universe that they're not canon. They're fan canon. So they're fan service that the fans wish to be true. So there's two characters, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's Lord Shaxx and there's Queen Mara. And during year 2, so literally 2018 to 2019, the fan base was crying out for a secret relationship between these two characters to be revealed. And not going to lie, it was more of a meme than it was anything. We weren't really taking it seriously, but we were praying that somebody at Bungie was considering it.
Fair enough. I know, with the D&D world that I'm running now for our campaign there, I am totally expecting different headcanon to develop by different people, and I am going to try to screw with it every possible way I can. There are some things that I've written into the campaign specifically to get people thinking, oh, everything is this way. Nope, it's over here. I may do stuff like that. I'm sorry.
I look forward to watching that when it gets revealed.
So, okay, you already covered favorite game then, because you jumped ahead of me here on questions. All right, but what really got you into first-person shooters? Was Doom your first one, or Wolfenstein?
I've had a few people asking me this, and neither of those were my first one. My first one, if I'm going back to the OG first-person shooter that I tried, it was Medal of Honor Rising Sun, which is ancient by today's standards.
Shut up.
My uncle got it. My uncle got it for me for the PlayStation 2. My mom wasn't really happy about it. She didn't really want me getting engrossed in violent games, considering that she bought me one of my first ever PlayStation 2 games, and that was the Prince of Persia Sands of Time. Yeah, thanks, Mom. Um, it's fine for me to walk up and, slash demons made of sand with a sword and, rescue a questionably dressed princess or whatever she actually was. But I can't go around and fight in the battles of World War II in a fictional environment. Well, fictionalized environment.
Yeah.
After that, it was Call of Duty 2 Big Red One, which was sort of like a spin-off of Call of Duty 2, but it was sort of different events that were happening within the same timeline. And then it just progressed on. It was Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 3, Black Ops 1 and 2.
So you started with 2.
Yeah, it was... I felt a rhythm with these games. They were a really easy game to just sit back and play. Because online multiplayer for a first-person shooter is you spawn in, you go find someone, you get a few kills, you die, rinse and repeat. It was a great, easy way to pass time. Pass maybe a little bit too much time during my high school years, but I think we're all guilty of that. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of these things that first-person shooters... It's going to sound really weird, but they had a calming effect on me.
Fair enough.
And it's maybe, everybody gets that kind of day where they come home from work and they've got this ball of stress that they need to relieve.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe TV doesn't do it, maybe music doesn't do it, but sitting down and playing your favorite game does, even if it's just for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that, at the time... just because of how stressful high school was for me, was a great way of coming back to normality.
Yeah, there's been multiple times that I've come home from work and I've just looked at Arini and said, I got to go kill some zombies, and we go in and boot up 7 Days to Die or something. So I totally feel you there. It's just coming home and it's like, I need to blow off some steam. Let's go kill some zombies. It had to be something. Yep. Okay. Yeah, you're sitting there saying... Medal of Honor, I think that was the second one that you listed off, and the Call of Duty 2, and I'm going, I played the first ones of both of those series. And that was, like, late in my gaming career at that point, it was... Anyway, I didn't have the consoles to play those on. I only played them over at friends, but it was one of those... You're making me feel old here, Mayhem. That's not nice.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Anyway, okay. So, what do you think drives the popularity of first-person shooters?
I want you to answer that one first.
Why do I got to answer that one first? I was the one reading up on articles and stuff. No.
You're the host.
Well, yeah, you're the guest. You're the one supposed to get asked questions, but okay. I guess for a lot of people, it is the adventure into a place that they will never go. It's for a lot of people, or for a lot of kids when they're younger, they play imagination games and they do things like play soldier, play knight, play the princess, whatever. And I think video games is one of those things that helps us bring a little bit more reality to those imagination games. So it's only natural that some people would gravitate towards, hey, let's go play soldier. Now, granted, when I watch you play soldier and you're just sprinting through areas, I'm going, you're playing a very bad soldier, but, you'd still probably kick my butt at those games, I'll admit it, but... So I think that is the allure. That's my own personal take on it. Other than just bragging rights between you and your friends, I that's about all I've got.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of friends IRL when I was growing up, but the ones that I did have, we would definitely play those imagination games. What would it be like to pretend that we were soldiers in World War II? What would it be like to pretend that, we were X, Y, and Z? And it was great. It was. And then, I don't know. It's almost as if we hit this age in time where we just felt like we were too grown up to do that, and that the next thing that we could move on to and share between us all was video games. And I think the reason first person shooters are so dominant, and I do mean dominant in the gaming market, is because of how modular their design is. You can take the bare mechanics of a first person shooter and you can throw it into pretty much any time frame.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't go turning around and saying that firearms were around during the Crusades.
I was going to say that Bronze Age first-person shooter was just a riot.
Yeah. So I mean, as long as you stick to at least that bare element of realism in terms of when you can use firearms, you can pretty much do anything with a first-person shooter. We've seen that. We've seen going from solely first-person shooter games that are solely single-player experiences to ones where, in recent years, there's been first-person shooters that haven't even had a campaign released with them. Looking at you, Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go down that route. But like I said, their modularity makes them so successful, and like I said, they can be applied to many different avenues. You can have ones that are built towards survival. So World War Z, which I believe came out in early 2019 or late 2018, I'm not entirely sure. Have a feeling it was early 2019. But it's it's basically an extremely remastered and more technical Left 4 Dead. And we all know that the Left 4 Dead model was something that did very well.
Yeah,
so
that was a lot
you've
of
got
fun.
those survival ones, and then you've got battle royales. Let's put 100 people into the same map with absolutely nothing, make them scrounge for weapons and equipment, and fight to the last man standing.
Well, okay, now you've delved into it. We'll go into that one. Battle royales. Why? Why are they so popular? These drop into a map, scavenge everything you can find, and then try to kill the guy next to you before he grabs a knife and stabs you in the back.
Personally, I see that there's a multitude of reasons. There's that element of it's a shared level of skill. Well, no, actually, sorry, that's completely wrong. It's a level playing field. So 100 people drop in with nothing, but the person who gets the best gun or the best weapon or the best armor or the best survival spot on the map, provided that you're lucky with whether it's a storm that's rolling in like Fortnite, or if it's gas that's rolling in like PUBG, or a storm like Apex Legends again, provided that you're in that safe zone, then you had the same fighting chance as everybody else that dropped in, but you're just the one that was good enough to be the last one standing. I reckon that, again, they're modular. A battle royale can be applied to almost anywhere, because I would struggle deeply to see how a battle royale set in certain timelines, like the medieval times, would work. Personal opinion, I don't think it would work.
It'd be a gladiator type setting.
Yeah.
You'd all be thrown into the Colosseum. Here's a bunch of weapons. Go.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
Again, there's a lot of the modularity that comes with the generic first-person shooter that I believe applies to the battle royale mentality. As to why they became so popular, on the other hand, in terms of viewership and money that they're making, I'm still scratching my head on that one. I really am.
Yeah, for me, it's why are they... Well, I know the why. I just can't get behind the why. I scratch my head when the Battle Royale model is being shoved into games where it clearly doesn't belong. I get the why the developers did it. Money. But I can't agree with it. Perfect example, Fallout 76. The story that they tried to weave for that just didn't make sense. But hey, it's a cash cow, so let's get it in the game. I don't care how.
I totally agree in the sense that a battle royale in Fallout 76 was completely unnecessary and it shouldn't work, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to work in the long term. But other franchises that it didn't work, or it could be seen that it was never going to work. Look at how badly the battle royale released with Battlefield 5 did. It not only was it extremely late to be released, it did not garner as much success as DICE were intending it to. Most of that failure to achieve success is because of how late it was. But overall, in terms of mechanics and playability, it didn't do well. So I don't know. Really don't know. Call of Duty is releasing a battle royale in the next coming weeks. I'm really hoping they don't screw it up, because if they do, then the Modern Warfare franchise is going to be dead in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't get it. But, so I guess, do you think that possibly the rise of, and I've got some statistics here pulled up, well, a timeline thing pulled up, but it's obviously very much a judgment call here. Do you think that maybe part of the reason Battle Royales have done and are doing so well is because of streaming? Because really, the two of them kind of came to a rise at about the same time. At least it appears. I may have my dates messed up here, but it seems like they kind of grew in popularity at about the same time.
Without seeing the data without seeing the correlation between the two, I'm going to have a hard time coming up with a definitive answer. Yes, battle royales can garner a large viewership base on streaming platforms like Twitch and Mixer and YouTube and Facebook gaming. I don't necessarily think that the success of streaming is a 100% correlation to the success of Battle Royale. And I don't think that the success of Battle Royale is a correlation to the success of streaming. I don't think that either depends on the other. I think that streamers with personality, so you've got... I can't believe I'm going to say this. Cannot believe I'm saying this. But you look at someone like Ninja, who, love him or hate him, has a personality. Yes, he's very skilled at what he does. Regardless of how he came around, or how you think he came around, a lot of people will go to watch him, but not the game. Then you take someone like Shroud, who has been a first-person shooter player and streamer his entire life, and people will... I reckon more of his community will go to watch the game than to watch him.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I guess the next pop quiz here for you, is what do you think the first game was that had Battle Royale in it?
I know of a couple of the really early ones. I do not know which is the first. I'm going to throw a curveball and say H1Z1.
Okay. I will say good guess. Prior to 2000, really the way this timeline is laid out, 2011 and prior, there were a lot of games that had a last man standing type scenario. None of them were officially a battle royale. Okay? Notable titles include Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament. They had last man standing things, not battle royale, not in that sense. I think like Counter-Strike, you start off with your gear for one, so it's not the same where you drop into the map and all scrounge for weapons and go at each other, but still. Then, in early 2012, a notable film dropped and spiked interest in this. Do you know the film?
Hunger Games.
Yes, Hunger Games released worldwide and inspired interest in the Battle Royale type game. And early in April, there was a response. Minecraft was the earliest known game to see Battle Royale modes.
Just completely changed my entire opinion on that game.
Minecraft, according to this article, Minecraft was the earliest known game to see Battle Royale modes. Shortly after the release of the movie, numerous Hunger Games-style private servers sprang up. Popularity and demand for the mode surged, seeing the creation of hundreds of servers in the months that followed. Following that, in late April 2012, open-world multiplayer survival and Arma 2 mod DayZ is released. The game features.
See, I thought DayZ came after H1Z1. I didn't know that it was part of Arma. I didn't know that though.
A lot of modern games, or at least quite a few of the very popular ones, for instance Dota 2, are actually originally mods of other games. They were player created things within other games. Dota 2.
If I remember correctly, Dota 2 was a mod from Warcraft 3.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct. As was, what was the other one? There was another one that sprung out of that too. I'm blanking right now.
Dota Underlords?
No, it was another one that's gone really big right now, and I'm going to kick myself for forgetting it, but we'll leave that for after the show. But yeah, a lot of these seem to spring from mods made by other things. August 2012, then, you get... And this is where DayZ actually starts showing itself, but not as DayZ. A grassroots tournament called Hunger Games Z is organized, featuring popular DayZ Twitch streamers. The event draws from 27,000 viewers and go on to reform into Survivor Game Z and hold several more tournaments. September of that year, DayZ Battle Royale is announced on Reddit by Brendan Green, more commonly known as Player Unknown. You can see the evolution.
Player Unknown Battlegrounds is born.
Kind of both. You get DayZ and Player Unknown Battlegrounds. This is kind of the seed of it. July 2013, you see Rust, a DayZ-inspired Arma 2 mod. It's still a mod at this point. It was officially released in December of that year and described as a mixture of DayZ and Minecraft. And then in March of 2014, Player Unknown's Battle Royale mod for Arma 3 is released by Brendan Green, Player Unknown. And that becomes the basis for Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, which I believe was released in 2017. Followed shortly, March of 2017, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, followed in September by Fortnite, its free-to-play counterpart. And then from there, we have just seen the explosion of all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna lie. I think if PUBG hadn't succeeded as much as it did, Fortnite wouldn't have come around.
probably
I reckon say you look at the relative success that PUBG has had overall in its entire current lifetime, and you reduce it down to, I'd say, 70%. So if it only had 70% of its success, I reckon Fortnite would not have been a thing, because they wouldn't have taken such a chance or they wouldn't have taken such a risk at trying to create something that was going to battle this what was a titan
Yeah.
in the gaming community.
Well, in all fairness,
That being,
go ahead.
no, you go.
Well, in all fairness to that point, I mean, yeah, PlayerUnknown Battleground is kind of one of the pillars at this point of the battle royale genre. However, you look at that history, and there were a lot of other things that built up to it. So even if PUBG had flopped, there's clearly interest in that kind of genre. People probably would have invested eventually. Now, would it have been Fortnite or some other variation of the same thing? I can only speculate. But, yeah, I can kind of see your point. Maybe Fortnite would have come around, but it wouldn't have been a free-to-play. You know, I really don't know. Yeah, so that was some interesting history that I found on it. But this has been a quickly growing bubble. The question is it just a bubble-type trend that's going to pop here soon? Or do you think it's going to be something that carries on for a while?
It's definitely a bubble. I'll give you that. But as to whether it's going to pop or whether it's going to continue to grow, I think depends on how developers handle the game type. So as long as developers can be seen to be producing battle royale games that players enjoy, players are willing to play, maybe even streaming activity favors it above single player experiences, because we know that they are kind of in a decline, retrospectively or debatably. Like I said, as long as developers can do right by the battle royale game type, then I can see that the continuation of that game type will, be a thing. All it could take is one developer to release one bad iteration of a battle royale. Bubble pops, it all goes away.
Fair enough. Okay, so that kind of brings it into, you were talking about the attention that developers give it and stuff. And I know one thing that we've seen grow with a lot of these things is the loot boxes and microtransactions. And I have heard, and I can kind of see the whole, well, I guess before I delve into that, what is your opinion on it? Are loot boxes and microtransactions a good thing, a bad thing, an ugly thing? What do you think here?
My theory on microtransactions and loot boxes, because there is a very distinct line between the two of them. So microtransactions being built into a game, I'm in support of it under very select circumstances. Number one, it's got to be produced by a reputable game developer. So, for instance, let's just take someone along the lines of 2K. So 2K have produced some fantastic games in the past, most of which, as far as my knowledge goes, have been free of microtransactions. Somebody please feel free to correct me in the chat if I am wrong. I'll hold my hands up and I will say I'm wrong. So say they were to put in microtransactions in the Borderlands 3, for instance. I'd be okay with that, provided that certain conditions were met. Number one, the price has to be fair. I don't want to be spending $5 in order to get a character skin that just looks like something that a 2-year-old could have drawn together in 30 seconds. Number one, I want to know where that money's going. I want to know that money is going to either funding the creation of DLC or future content, or I want to know that it's going to paying the developers either a bonus or continuing their employment under that developer so that they can create the games that we love. I don't want it being solely about greed, and I don't want it being how big can we make our profit margin. I do not want them going down the EA and Activision route as far as microtransactions, where they just want to make their bank account look pretty and not really care about how these microtransactions are affecting the gameplay.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of greed in this kind of thing. And, you said EA and Activision. I don't think they're the only ones guilty of that. Obviously, corporation looking out for its pocketbook. But in the end, you also need to look after your clientele, or they're not going to come back. I mean, yeah, when you're the only provider of certain games, we may stick around for a while, but, my favorite punching bag here, Bethesda, is guilty of some of this as well. They've pretty much lost me as a customer, and even with a couple of game series that I absolutely love. But until they prove to me that it's a good game, I'm probably not coming back because they have not taken care of me as the consumer. Not saying I'm the only one affected by this, but I am one of the people affected by this, so it gripes me there. So yeah, my personal opinion on it. I will call you out for the 2K thing. I think, I can't be certain because I haven't played it long enough, but I thought there were certain keys that you only gotten a certain number of in Borderlands 2, but that you could buy more with real world money. I can't remember.
Yes. So
Okay.
those were shift keys. Shift keys gave you the opportunity to go purchase these keys with real money and open up a chest that you could physically go to in the game. And yes, it is in essence a loot box. However, as far as my understanding is going, and I may be wrong here, and if I am, I do hold my hand up. I'll admit to any wrong statements that I make in the stream or whenever. But I believe that the weapons that you could get from those from those chests were already in the game. So they
Yeah, it
weren't
just gave you a
exactly like
random
they
chance of
were.
getting bait.
It's not like they were taken out of the game and only put into that box, for
Yeah.
instance. I had a point I was gonna make. I had a really good point, and I've completely
We'll see if it comes
forgotten
back to you. We'll see if it comes back to you. I think you were kind of trending toward the same kind of idea that I have with it. Is my feeling on things like this is, I like it best when, with these drops or things like that, it's either an in-game item, like you already said, that you can earn in a different way. It is using a currency that you can otherwise earn in-game. Maybe it takes you longer. Like, you could get a ship key from every other boss or something, or you could go grind this area and go get it, or what have you. So you could still get whatever items it is. And it is some kind of... It won't be a game breaker. I'm okay with microtransactions in that way. I probably will never participate in those just because I paid for the game once. I don't want to pay for it again. But I am okay with that idea, partly because I can kind of see the argument here of games now have continuing support. We're out of the days of one and done. When I was growing up, at least, and maybe you were catching this, you were in this too, where when a game was released, it was released, period, end of sentence. You don't have updates. You don't have ways you can go back and fix it. Aside from issuing a whole new game or something, once the game's out the door, it's out the door. You had better be done with it. Now we get games that we have to download 2 hours of patches after installing it via disk, if you got a disk at all. And I think, in some ways, I feel, personally, and I want your opinion on this as well, but I feel that has almost led to a lazy, not necessarily a laziness by developers, but by a laziness of the company, where they can go ahead and issue a game that is incomplete. Don't worry, we'll fix it before they finish installing it. Get it out the door. Sell it.
Absolutely. And I actually talked about this with certain members of my community as well. It's that whole debate as to whether or not it is better to postpone the release date of a game and have it be as bug-free as the developer can possibly make it, Not 100% bug free, because let's face it, coding is freaking huge, and you make one wrong you input one wrong character into a line of code out of however many thousands of lines there are, and you have a potentially game breaking bug.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm of the opinion that it is better to postpone the release date of a game to make sure that it is as sturdy and robust and as reliable and as solid as it possibly can be come the new release date. So, and a really, really recent example of this is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that was due to be released in April, which has now been pushed back. Are you reading
my notes here?
Pardon?
Are you reading my notes? You're like going down my checklist here.
No, I can't see them, I swears. So it's been pushed back by a minimum of 5 months. I'd say a minimum because I don't actually know when the newly scheduled release date is. I know that it's roughly 5 months. But CD Projekt Red have said that the game is finished. They are now bug testing it to the letter. And that's competency from a developer right there.
Right.
The community's picked it up. Yes, there's mixed feelings about it, but I'd rather that CD Projekt Red did that, because they did it with The Witcher 3, if I'm not mistaken. And look at how well The Witcher 3 did when it got released. Yeah, there were problems with it, but look how well it turned out.
Yeah, and this was one of the things, again, going back to my favorite punching bag, with Fallout 76, just before it was released, we were supposed to be getting beta access. We got a whole week before the game actually came out. And that is, to anybody that has done beta testing or is involved in it in any sort of way, that's not a beta test. That's early access. That is something completely different. And when I heard when they were going to delay that until, just the week before actual game launch, I'm sitting there going, it's not going to be ready. It is going to be ridden full of bugs. And with that short of time, even if we do provide feedback in beta, they're not going to have time to fix it. It's releasing the week after. We're not going to have time to put in the ticket, much less them fix it. And sure enough.
Absolutely. I did that with a game. I did that with For Honor when the beta came out with that. I don't know if anybody else did the beta for that game or not, but for the Xbox beta, there was a handful of surveys handed out to players where you were asked if you could put in a minimum of, I think it was 16 hours worth of gameplay throughout the course that the beta was live for. And after playing that, they encouraged you to give them as detailed feedback as possible. So if you noticed anything that wasn't right, if there was a texture that was twitching and it wasn't supposed to be, if you could walk through even the slightest part of a wall, you were encouraged to tell them. Now, I struggle with that because the developers shouldn't be relying on the players to tell them that. I believe that internal testers should be doing that. Yet, betas can be used so that players can play the game early. It's early access at the very root of it. But yes, it is a chance for players to spot things that maybe the developers have gotten so tunnel vision that they've just missed it. But again, I personally think that that's what internal or external third-party game testers are for, not the people who are going to be playing the game. Because for all I know, I could have played that For Honor beta, seen bugs and glitches in it, and it put me right off, and it made me never want to buy it. And then maybe 6 weeks after launch, it turned out to be pristine clean.
Right. Or you have the opposite problem there as well, where it seemed to work well in beta, but then as soon as you release it. But I kind of disagree with you there. I do. Yes, internal game testers should catch the majority of things, but especially once you get an online game, you're never going to put the kind of stress on that server as you are when you're going to open the floodgates and let a bunch of people in. I have not yet been on a game day server or a launch day server that has not had capacity issues. Name one game that you've logged in day one and it has gone smoothly. Every server I have joined like that has bogged down to some extent, whether it was just lag or it was honestly queues longer than, from me to you, real world from me to you, it just insanity. And I think one of the best examples that I have of this is Final Fantasy XIV. Not Realm Reborn, just Final Fantasy XIV. I was one of the alpha testers for that. Proceeded into beta.
Wow.
And I got the collector's kit when it came out. It's sitting downstairs. I think it was 4 of us total. And we tested things in alpha and all the way through beta. And there were certain patches that came out that we were going, you've got a bug here. And we were faithful at reporting things. We found bugs. We reported them. We've got issues with this. We got issues with that. Part of it became, you could tell, they told us about, and you could actually see the leapfrogging updates. So they'd take your input from this one and start working on a patch from it. In the meantime, you'd be playing this patch with things that they'd fixed, that they'd found. And then this one would jump forward and you'd be working on the next patch that had your inputs from the first round. Now we're going to leapfrog and leapfrog. And so we were seeing issues that would alternate between the patches. And we're like, okay, maybe when they merge this together, it will be okay. Maybe it will be okay. And we were saying that up to launch day. Okay, they've just got to merge these 2 versions and it will be okay. The game launched. It was a total shit show. The game was absolutely beautiful. You could not ask for better graphics at the time. I had to get a new computer just to run the damn thing. It was amazing to look at. But the gameplay suffered so horribly. Not to mention getting on there was incredibly insane. The servers kept crashing. I couldn't enter my information to actually get access to the game or even create my characters, which was done locally, not on their servers. And for those of you not familiar with the progression of this story, the creators of Final Fantasy XIV went on to fire their entire staff and try to rework the game. It did not work. So the executives got fired and that whole division was rebuilt. They deleted the game and started over fresh. And now we have Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. It was that effed up.
Yeah, you shared one of your experiences, and you touched on server capacity always being an issue on day one. The biggest one for me, and I do mean the biggest, and I think I know which way you think I'm going with this story, but it's not. Destiny Year 3 was entitled Rise of Iron.
Okay.
And Rise of Iron, great expansion. It was hyped up to the nines because it was dealing with lore that the community had been really begging for. This was a story that was supposed to be gritty. It was dark. It was touching. It was emotional. And it was a great story. It was a little bit too short, but it was a great story. Huge update. You're talking probably bigger than the size of the vanilla game being installed for this expansion. I skipped college to play this. Okay. Servers were due to go live at 10 a.m. UK time. Now, that's a really weird time because it's 2 a.m. Pacific time, which is Bungie time. Why Bungie were launching an expansion at 2 a.m. their local time, the player base had no idea. Cut to 10 a.m., title screen kicks in. Instantly, players are hit with a queuing system.
Yep.
I'm going to let you guys hazard a guess as to what position I was. Bearing in mind, I clicked enter the second it rolled over to 10 a.m. Hazard a guess.
5,976.
Times it by about 9.
There you go. Yep. I don't know. I was
There
just
was
throwing
about
random numbers.
45. There was between 45 and 50,000 players trying to get on at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And I was at the back of the queue. 8 hours later, I was
Yep.
still waiting to get in. Mrs. Mayhem Vote had come home from college to find me sitting there very, very frustrated, saying, I thought you'd played this already. Wrong question to ask.
So, okay, I've got one last point that I'm going to share, and then we're going to open up to the rest of the community. And I would kill it at this point just because we're a lot further along in time than I was hoping we'd be at this point, but I really want to share this with you. So recently at DICE, the 2020 Summit, and I was having trouble finding what DICE actually stood for, but some kind of game developers convention here. Tim Sweeney, the boss over at Epic Games, condemned loot boxes. I was kind of
kidding me.
No, I am actually kind of surprised by this. Now, in all fairness, I know at least a little bit about your gripes with them, but we'll keep that aside for now. I'm just kind of interested in what he was saying about this. So he may have come in after that, is my point. It may be different waters that we're swimming here, but let's see what he said. So according to his tweets afterwards, Ubert Noodle, thank you for that follow. Well, no, what was it? There was a quote out of the convention that I wanted to grab. We have to ask ourselves as an industry what we want to be when we grow up. Do we want to be like Las Vegas with slot machines, or do we want to be widely respected as creators of products that customers can trust? I think we will see more and more publishers move away from loot boxes. So he then goes on to tweets after the event to kind of clarify what he said, because people were asking questions and stuff. And he said, here's one of the key views I shared at DICE. If a game tackles politics, as To Kill a Mockingbird did as a novel, it should come from the heart of creatives and not from marketing departments seeking to capitalize on division. And when a company operates an ecosystem where users and creators can express themselves, there should be a neutral they should be a neutral moderator. Else the potential for undue influence from within or without is far too high. Now, this divides into a couple different topics that maybe we've got to come back to another time because we've only got 10 minutes left. But you've got a major creator at a big studio saying, we need to get the marketing department out of these decisions, which I absolutely agree with. If anybody's heard my rants on different things like this, get the marketing department out of there. Yes, they need to help make decisions to actually make you money. Great. They should have some small say, but they should not dictate the schedule. I'll let you get in your opinion here on this as well. But he's also saying the company should not be dictating politics, which, yeah, I can agree with. You know, if developers have a statement they want to make for politics, which I'm sure we're going to see some melded into Steampunk 2077 or Cyberpunk. I keep doing that I keep calling it Steampunk, but I'm sure we're going to see some melding from there with, you know, statements on where our culture's taking us and things like that. But you need to leave that at the developers level and not at the boardroom level. I don't know. Your thoughts on this kind of stuff as we wrap it up quickly? This was kind of a shotgun thing. I was going to get more detailed, but we're out of time.
Marketing should stick to trying to maximize the sales of the game, not interfere with what is in the game. So they should stick to the reveals at expos, so like PAX or CEX or Gamescom or, you know, TwitchCon or E3. You know, with all the release trailers and the posters and, you know, working with other brands, because a lot of them work with energy drinks. We saw that with Destiny 2 and Rockstar energy drinks. They did a great campaign together. That should be marketing. That's it. That should be their extent of it. Developers should dictate, not just control, but they should dictate the content of the game. If a developer doesn't want to put microtransactions and loot boxes into a game, they should not be forced or, persuaded or intimidated or sweet talked
Yeah.
by marketing into doing so.
Yep. And or battle royale modes. But yeah, I think the final thing there on the loot boxes is his saying we should get these out of there. I think reading some more of the discussion from that convention was, he was kind of in the same place we are, where it could be aesthetic stuff and whatnot, fine, but we shouldn't be living on that. And one point I agree with him on is, he didn't bring it up specifically, but I can kind of see, and we started touching on it, was as these games now are being updated continuously, and we're getting DLC that sometimes is free to play at least, or just here's a revision to whatever security patch or whatnot, they're providing continual support. So there does kind of have to be a method for us to return continual support to them. But our loot box is the way to do it. Anyway, so at this point, I am going to open it up to the community. And if you guys have questions for Mayhem Vote or myself on this topic or any other, feel free to fire away. I will moderate it slightly. No fair asking him what color underwear he's wearing tonight. I can tell you, but I'm not going to.
My typical response would get this stream instantly pulled from both platforms, so I'm going to behave myself.
It's okay. I got it marked as not for kids. I have to do that now. What underwear? There you go. See, I just need to put Quilton Zen in charge of commands here. Exclamation mark commando. You kind of feel sleepish? What? Or sheepish? That would make more sense here, Lexi. All right. In the meantime, while they're coming up with questions and stuff for you, I noticed the hoodie you're wearing isn't a Geeks of Glory one here.
It's because I don't have one, do I?
No. Why don't you have one? We got to change that.
Yeah, dude, I just spent a ridiculous amount of money on a house. Do you think I've got enough money to buy clothes?
You should have made that into the contract that they had to help there. They had to get you a Geeks of Glory hoodie to make the closing deal. That's it. Sorry. One for me, one for the missus.
Well, you know what you could do? For my 1 year anniversary of working for the company, you could gift me one.
Didn't we get you a t-shirt at least?
No, you gave me a tote bag.
Oh, that's right. We did the tote bags. Fair enough. Sorry, the order things are coming in on my chat bot over here. I fell asleep, hence the no underwear. Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and yeah. Just that's all I'm gonna say is yeah. Bearing in mind we have now got Rob, Quilton Zen, and Luxie involved in this. It's a recipe for disaster.
Anyway, so do you guys have any questions for him before we wrap it up, or things you want to tell us, or I don't know?
Going back to your point, you very briefly touched on the fact that you're okay with cosmetic items being earnable and also buyable with real money. You said you're fine with them being purchasable as long as there's a free way to earn them. That's actually one of the things I think Rainbow Six Siege did perfectly. Yeah. You can earn everything in the game, but if you cannot be bothered to grind out hundreds of hours to get enough currency for it, you can buy it.
Right. And or, like I said, that continuing support for continuing support idea there of, almost the way you would support a streamer here. We're providing this content to you free. If you like it enough, you can pay back. Oh, by the way, we're going to give you something for it. Here we'll buy better cameras so you get a better picture. We'll buy better lighting so you get not this super washed out appearance that I've got going here. Things like that. In the game, hey, you're going to get this cool skin and it'll make you look like Brilliant in a hula outfit. I don't know. So I can kind of see the argument there. Why has Mayhem not got anything around his neck too?
I do. You just can't see it.
Fair enough. I guess. Kind of creepy. Anyway, do we have any other questions for him? Yes, he needs to get laid. You know, lays. That was actually one of my first experiences when I ended up in Hawaii as a duty station. They were expecting myself and apparently my wife and eldest geekling to get there, and they showed up with 3 lays. A bunch of guys from my boat showed up, and it was just me walking off the airplane, and they're like, well, here you go, and they tossed them all around my neck. It's like, great. So I show up and immediately get laid by 3 of the guys from my boat. I see. This is going great.
Again, jokes. I'll behave.
Sure you will. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything, I guess that's where we wrap it up for the night. Is there a chance to see some lore streams for some of the games, Mayhem? Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry. What was that question
You got
again?
the question, is there a chance to see some lore streams for some of the games?
Sure. Yeah. Some of the games might be a little difficult to do lore streams for. I'm gonna struggle to do lore streams for stuff like Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege. I believe I tried to do something like that with Destiny 2. I remember it needing a lot of work. Something I could work on in the future if communities were willing to support it. So I'm not gonna bin that idea. I'll definitely take that on board.
Okay. So, a definite maybe. I like pay for pretty, but dislike pay to win, as it's not fair to players who can't afford to dump money into a game. I agree with that, JKF. You on board with that there, Mayhem?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not everyone who is cash poor is also time rich. True. Yeah, so you may not have the time to grind it out like me in Rainbow Siege 6, but I could still, over time, get the things. I could. I've got a few operators now, and I can do I can at least play the game competently-ish. Hey, I got 3 kills in a row in one match. Yeah, that was
Teammates
okay.
don't count.
No, it wasn't teammates. And it was after I flashbanged myself, which was hilarious. There's a clip of this. Flashbang myself, look up, bam, bam, bam. Last one got me. There are clips. There are clips. You can find it on our Twitch channel. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, then I think we're going to wrap it up at this point. We are over time now. Speaking of our merch, there's the link for it. Just popped up in the chat. You can feel free to check that out. But in the meantime, we are going to say goodnight. Thank you, Mayhem, for joining me tonight. Tell the people again where they can find you.
Guys in the chat, you can find me over on Monday nights at twitch.tv/Geeks of Glory, and a minimum of twice a week over on my own channel, twitch.tv/TheMayhemVote93. And yeah, for those of you who are in both my community and the Geeks community, unboxing and announcement coming on my channel, 9 p.m. Tuesday night UK time.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I'm seeing a call for man shirts of the D20s. If you have suggestions for things like that, please drop them in the recommendations box of our Discord, where we would love to chat with you 24/7. Check it out. You can find links to that on several of our pages. I don't think we've got them up on Mixer. They are in the YouTube description, or you can go to geeksofglory.com and find just about all of our links there. So for now, we are signing off here from the Geek Retreat. Mayhem, once again, thank you for joining me. We will be back next week. And yeah, I'm prepared to talk topic this time because I'm finally starting to get caught up. We'll be back next week with Papa Zoff. And we'll be talking Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, you tease!
And in the meantime, if you need to get your Dungeons and Dragons fill, you can find us on Spotify. And this Wednesday, we'll be releasing a new episode of Glory Roll. So until then, take care. May all your drinks be full. May your days be glorious and full of geekery. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you tomorrow with Mayhem Monday. Bye-bye, everyone.